guys, welcome to a new vlog. I'm trying to get so yes, my tree is still up. This is the last week of decorations. Really, tomorrow's like the last day. And then the decorations will be coming down and I'll have my reading nook back because the tree kind of took over that. But it is the first vlog of 2025. I felt like I should introduce myself because we might have new people joining. Hi, my name is Elizabeth, but on the internet I'm Izzy because my family wouldn't let me put my real name on the internet. I guess they thought I would get kidnapped and murdered when I have an extremely common name. Who knows? But, yeah, because people call me Izzy and I'm like, that's not me. Like people in real life. Yeah, so I read about somewhere in the 100 book range every year. I go between about 8 different genres that I read, but I'm always willing to try something new. And in January, I'm going to be focusing on science fiction. I'm currently not reading any science fiction, but I do have a 5-star prediction book that I'm trying to get through. But as I said, I read about 100 books a year. In these vlogs, I vlog from Monday to Thursday. I go into the nitty-gritty of all the books that I'm reading, telling y'all all of my thoughts every single day on what these books are about. Let's see what I'm reading right now. But I also have this little calendar I got for Christmas that is going to have a weekly quote for us. So this week it is, "Life is worth living as long as there is a laugh in it" by L.M. Montgomery. And that is so cute. And look at the little fruit, like apple background. That's cute. But I do have this is where I put the pages read and everything in a day. The first book, I am reading a short story collection in the morning when I work out. I already lifted weights today, but I am about to go on the bicycle, and that's when I'm going to read this. This is The Memory Wall by Anthony Doerr. He's one of my favorite writers. Let's see what this is about. So every story in Memory Wall is a reminder of the grandeur of life. Doerr lingers, oh, this is a blurb, sorry, lingers wonderfully over the details of individual lives and suggests that the enormity of those billion things contained therein, mysterious, mournful, and lovely as they are. The one I'm reading right now is like speculative fiction of this woman who has dementia or something, and basically it's in South Africa, and they have come up with this kind of machine that you put it on your head and it can play you back your old memories. Oh my gosh, imagine being able to do that, especially with somebody who has forgotten those memories. It's really moving and everything, but that sounds great, but think of all the other stuff that could get involved with something like that. And now we have my 5-star prediction. This is at like 20, I think I'm like 25, no, like 44% into it. This is The Covenant of Water. I did not even read this description thing before starting. We're going to do that now because this is the book that's going to be the main focus of this vlog. It says The Covenant of Water is the long-awaited new novel. Okay, but we don't care. Spanning of the years 1900 to 1977, The Covenant of Water is set in Kerala on India's Malabar coast and follows 3 generations of a family that suffers a peculiar affliction. In every generation, at least one person dies by drowning. And in Kerala, it hasn't said that word in the book because I've been doing the audiobook, but okay. Water is everywhere. At the turn of the century, a 12-year-old girl from Kerala's Christian community, grieving the death of her father, is sent by boat to her wedding, where she will meet her 40-year-old husband for the first time. From this unforgettable new beginning, the young girl and future matriarch, Big Amachi, will witness unthinkable things over the span of her extraordinary life. Full of joy and triumph, as well as hardship and loss, her faith and love the only constants. That is the main book we're going to be focusing on. And then we have my mood read, which is what I read before I go to bed. Well, really before I go and take my bath. But this is What We Kept to Ourselves by Nancy, can't read that font, Juyeon Kim. This is a historical thriller. It's taking place, I say historical, but really it's taking place the year I was born, so... but technically that's historical. This is, we had 2 timelines. We have one earlier that started in the 70s and then one in 1999. And this mother of this immigrant family has gone missing, gone without a trace, and it's really everybody dealing with that. But then in 1999, some things start to come up that about the mother's disappearance. Lastly, we have my ebook read, which I do have a Kindle now, but this is Written in My Own Heart's Blood by Denna Gabaldon. This is the 8th book in the Outlander series. This is a really big genre-bending epic series that is taking place during the American Revolution with some time-traveling elements involved, and that's everything that I'm reading. I'm currently going to get into the memory wall and work out for a little bit. It is time to give y'all my reading update. I want to say I read 10 pages in memory wall. I'm not going to give an update on this yet. I'm not really at a point yet to do that. And then I read 75 pages in the Covenant of Water. We're going to go through these tabs that I had. So I'm just going to set this up there. Here's our big chunky book. Again, I don't have a page limit that I'm trying to get to or anything, because I'm just wanting to read what feels right. I don't want to overdo it with my reading and get burned out. We don't want reading slumps, so we're doing things casually around here. Now let's see, where did I start reading today at? I tab where I start. So day 6 of reading, not a whole lot of tabs. Our first one, the anonymity, like being anonymous, of a train journey. Philippos thinks gives strangers license for intimate revelations, or the freedom to invent. If I'm asked who, where, and why, I'll make something up. If they want a story, they shall have just that. But what is my story? And that reminds me so much of the internet. I think it's so easy to talk to strangers on the internet versus acquaintances in real life. I don't want to say people in real life, because I really am an open book and will tell people like everything, but on the internet where you don't really know everybody, it's like they don't know your story. You can just say whatever you want. It's crazy to think about, but this is a train ride in 1943 India, and it reminded me of what the internet is today in 2025. Okay, let's go to our next tab. Yeah, so this is a headline. This is again in 1943. Japanese plane bombs Madras. Mass exodus from city. I had no idea that in World War II, Japan bombed India. All I knew about India in World War II and in World War I is they had soldiers in the British Army. I didn't know much. I did not know India got bombed. I might have learned that in school. Again, it's been a while since I was in a history class, and I don't really know if we went over that or not. I don't remember it. The biggest shock I remember learning about World War II in school, I think I was in like 7th grade, and this was incredibly fascinating at the time, that Japan had tanks roll into Alaska, into like the Aleutian Islands. We were all so shocked, like nobody knew that. It was so interesting, and I learned that in 7th grade. But that was just something I hadn't known before. I wanted to make tab of that because history nerd, you know. And let's see, we have a character tab right here. Was this? We have a marriage take place in our 2nd generation of the story. And I'm wondering, was this relationship formed on lust or love? And I don't know if this is just because I was raised in the Bible Belt, or if this is a common thing where that is a big discussion and people just wanted to have sex with each other, which I'm not necessarily saying that was the case here. This person just found this other person to be extremely enchanting and wanted to marry that person. So I don't know if lust would be the right word to use for that, but was it more of a lust or love, wanting that something rather than actually loving it? And we're talking about people, but it'll make you think. My next tab is, believe me, it gives the model a profound insight into who they really are, talking about these drawings that this girl makes. And that is just the beauty of art. It is an incredible thing, and art can convey so many emotions. And at page 374, I am remembering this is a book about a curse. Who's gonna die in this generation? I was like, Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. And somebody's gonna die. I don't know who it's going to be yet. Or how it's going to happen. We have another plot tab. Yeah, they need to go to Digby. Digby is another character. When you read the description of the book, you are really only hearing about the family, but there are some other sections in the book where we've got point of views of two doctors. One, Dr. Roon, who is a Swedish doctor, and Digby, who is from Scotland and who has come to India. And they need to go to Digby. Every time something medical comes up, I'm like, we gotta go to Digby, especially with the two characters that we have now. Now we have a general tab here. Okay, yeah, this is about the forming of the country of Pakistan, so I didn't know earlier that, sorry, I started reading it. I didn't know how the country formed. I knew they had kind of beef with India, but I didn't know the formation. So I will read you the 2 paragraphs here about that. So nearing midnight on August 14th, 1947, Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, voices come through the radio, and the most exciting words to emerge from it in its existence to date. Earlier that day, Pakistan was born. Long years ago, Nehru says in an Englishman's English, we made a tryst with destiny. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to lift and freedom. But India's awakening proves bloody. 20 million Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs, don't remember how you say that, are forced to uproot themselves from the lands where their families have lived for generations. Muslims stream to the newly formed nation of Pakistan, while Hindus and Sikhs who find themselves no longer in India head there. Trains packed with the refugees are set upon by gangs of the opposite religion. Bloodthirsty mobs crush infant skulls, rape women, and mutilate men before killing them. Life or death for a man and his family teeters on the presence or absence of a foreskin. Philippos remembers his train journey back from Madras and Arjun Kumar railways, the snuff sniffer marveling at how all religions, all caste, go on so well inside a railway compartment. Why not the same outside a train? Why not simply all getting along? And I think that's one of the main themes here is we are all humans at our core. It doesn't matter your health, well-being. It doesn't matter your religion, your race, your wealth status, that we are all humans on this journey of life. And we have one more tab here, and I'm not going to read this, but I wonder if this is where we get our title from, which I'm going to be kind of shocked. We have a monsoon dance, I guess is what I would call it, and that's not where I expected the title to come from, but it does mention a covenant, and I think we're gonna have to break this curse, right? It's gonna have to be broken. How's it gonna be broken? Who's gonna break it? I don't know. You never know, because our curse is even real. I feel dirty saying that. I don't think I should say that, but you never know. That is my reading in the Covenant of Water for the day. I am, since this is the first time I'm updating y'all on this book, high 3-star range, like a 3.5, 3.75. All my friends and family who have read this book have given it a 4 star, so even a high 3-star is going to show up as a 4 on Goodreads. We will just have to see, because I am at 55% now, and I have about a little less than 6 hours left on the audiobook, so I should definitely finish it this week, and that was my plan anyway, to finish it this week, but you'll have to see. But I do absolutely love the colors of this cover, and it took me a while to realize there is a girl right there. I've had this book for years and didn't realize it till 2025. I have several things to talk about in this update, but first, I got to over a quarter of the way. I got to 30% in what we kept to ourselves, and I want to just give you all my thoughts so far on this book. I have a nice book of the month edition here. I read 31 pages today, and this is my first update since I'm now a quarter of the way into the book. Let's start with characters. The relationship dynamics are super interesting as we explore a family who you're not always... Being in relationships is hard. Any kind of relationship. Your family relationships and all of that. Friendships and putting them into categories. A lot of people feel the need to do stuff like that. I'm personally not somebody who really believes in labels. I just go at life and do it. But you're not... relationships are so complex. We're talking about siblings, like kids and their parents, how you can love your parents so much but not agree with everything. And it can be big things that you don't agree with, but you still have that love for them. And I'm sure it's vice versa. With the parents, I feel like it's different. It's similar, but it's different. That you love your kids so much. I mean, I'm not a parent, so I can't really talk. I can only talk from what I've learned in literature, is that from the dad's perspective, John, he doesn't see the complexities of the relationship. He doesn't see that. He's like, yes, his daughter and his son live completely different lives than him, but I think they are more so see the flaws of their dad, but he doesn't really see the flaws in them. And I actually, how I was the same with literature, I talked with my dad before, back in like high school, like 10 years ago. I was like, do you think these people of like the kids who, you know, were out drinking, having sex and doing all these things when they, I was like, do you think their parents know that they're doing all this? And my dad was like, no, the parents think they're angels. So I don't know if he was joking or being serious, but that's really the case here. I'm not saying the having sex and getting drunk and all that, because these kids are older, but the dad doesn't really see their faults, really. He'll be like he told his son, he was like, don't get anybody pregnant, like don't, like when he was going to hang out with his girlfriend. So like he obviously knows that, like, but there's not the religious aspect here. I think it said they've gone to church a few times, but you know, so I think those character exploring those dynamics are super interesting. Setting, this is an immigrant story of the parents came from Korea, north and south, and at that time it wasn't really like that yet. But we, I don't know if I've read a Korean immigrant story. I don't think I have, at least nothing memorable that's coming to mind. So that's something new for me. And I like reading immigrant stories that are not in like Trump, like from Obama to Trump, we're gonna say like that era. Obama, well, I guess Joe Biden is in there too, like not in that era, not in the last like 15 years, because immigration's become such a hot topic. And I think it always was, like reading The Alienist, it was a big thing in New York City, and we know people were bad towards like Irish and Italian people in the last century, but I think it's interesting to read these stories of immigration that took place before it became such a hot topic in my lifetime, and just seeing how maybe stances and all have changed. And again, these are the parents went through the Korean War. They were children when it happened, but war has its impact on every single person of any age group. The writing is the big thing here. That it started out beautiful. When I first started reading this book on New Year's Day, I was reading it out loud, and I was like, wow, this is some beautiful writing. But now I'm 30% into it, and I'm like, it's a bit much, and I am skimming. That it just takes so long to describe one thing, and I'm like, come on, we get it. You don't need to say she trapezed down the sidewalk. Like, it just gets a bit much, but it is beautiful, but the author's kind of pushing it. Plot, I don't think this is really that plot heavy of a book. It's definitely more character. This is listed as a thriller. I think it's more of a literary historical book. I think it's more literary, and it's listed as historical fiction, but when I say thriller on Goodreads, it's listed as a thriller. So all those people that are shelving the book on Goodreads, the majority of people are calling it a thriller. I don't think it's too plot heavy. No, I am definitely curious of where this plot's going to go, and so far it hasn't gone where I thought it's going to go. My predictions have not been right, so it's been kind of unpredictable, and that's fun. But that's my update for what we kept to ourselves, and definitely how much do we tell other people, tell our families about our lives? What do we keep to ourselves? That's an interesting topic. But I did get a Kindle for Christmas. It was not in my Christmas haul because, you know, it got here after Christmas, but I got this case. I bought the case myself. And since my reading journal this year doesn't really have pages where I can, you know, do a bullet journal spread, I was like, okay, the spreads that I was doing last year I can just do as my Kindle. Like, I call it a background. I don't really know. It's a clear case, and I just put a sheet of paper inside an ephemera sheet and put stickers on it. I might draw on it, anything like that. And so I went with a winter, like, snowy theme, because that's what I associate January with, is snow and ice. But I also read sci-fi, so I did include Bigfoot that says believe, and I thought this was kind of like alien looking, and because I'm reading sci-fi, and you know, I thought that was fitting. This is the Kindle Paperwhite that I have, and I am reading Outlander. That's what I'm reading on there. Obviously, I did get Kindle Unlimited, and I do intend to use that. I will talk about that in a short coming out in probably a month's time, a little less of a month, but I have a Kindle now, so that's super exciting. And that is all for the updates for Monday. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Obviously, that's how the calendar works. I don't really have any plans for Tuesday. I did really good today. I filmed videos. I worked out. This is my first day working out in a long time. I did strength, cardio, all the fun stuff. And I opened packages because I'm really bad about just letting packages sit there, and they were for Delilah, so she got to have some fun with some peanut butter and a Kong. And I cleaned, I mopped the floors, so I feel really good. Today I did a lot. At first, when I woke up, I did not want to get out of bed because, you know, Christmas break, holiday break is over. We had to get back to the real world today, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to. But once I did, I started doing stuff. I was productive, patted myself on the back. Reading corner is back, guys. The tree is gone. I sound like super excited about my Christmas tree being gone, but you know, I have done so much. I've walked like 2 miles just from I have exercised some, but from cleaning pretty much. I still need to lift some weights, so I will do that. But I haven't taken down all the Christmas decorations yet, but I did my room, my studio, which is like my library studio, whatever, my hobby room, and I took down some snow globes from all over the house, my little fabric birds, I've taken them down, and there's still a lot to do, but this is a lot for one person when it took 2 people to put everything up. But my dad, he will definitely help me later. Hopefully will help me later. And yeah, it's a lot. I did that. I cleaned my bathroom. I got to use my mirror cleaner for the first time, and oh my gosh, it was so satisfying. I did Drano in the tub, you know, clean the sink, clean the toilet, you know, fun stuff. I did all of that. And as I said, I did the bicycle already. I went on one walk and it was 39 degrees. I don't know what the feels like temperature was, but the like legit actual temperature was 39, and it was brutal. But I do have the heater on. What else have I done? I have read in memory, what is it called? Memory wall. I have read in there. And I did get some book mail today. This is The House of My Mother, A Daughter's Quest for Freedom by Sherry Frankie. Her mother got basically in a cult, I would say, connections as a cult, and was, in my opinion, brainwashed and abused the kids, really separated her family. But Sherry was an adult when all this was happening, but her siblings were in all of this, and then they finally got justice last year by the mom, and the lady who brainwashed her got arrested. But they are from the YouTube channel 8 Passengers, and I used to watch them when I was in high school because I found them more, you know, like the family vloggers are usually like young women who were usually teenage parents, but with babies and all, and I can't relate to that. And I'm not saying I could relate to Ruby being like a 40-year-old woman, but she had older children like Sherry and Chad who were also teenagers, and I found that more relatable. And a lot of the Mormon influencers I could relate to more because I was in Christian school. I'm not Mormon, but like they dressed modestly, they were Christians, and it was just something I could relate to more. So I would watch the channel, and obviously nobody had any idea the extent of what was going on behind the camera. And so this is Sherry, how she got free from that and is finally able to tell her story. And I am going to do the audiobook as well because Sherry herself is narrating the audiobook, but this came in the mail today. I pre-ordered it as soon as I heard about the book, and it did get here today. So I definitely recommend checking out Sherry's book because she's been through a lot and I want the best for her. So that is my little update. It feels so it feels so spacious over here now, and I can just lay out and read rather than reading in bed because, it's good to get out of your bed and not be laying in bed all day. I wouldn't lay in bed all day, but laying in bed to read, I can come lay on the floor. And that is my update for now. I need to lift weights, as I said. I'm going to eat some lunch, and then I got the MGM Plus subscription on Amazon because every show I want to watch is on there. I really didn't want to get another subscription, but I'm gonna watch Domina, yeah, is that how you say it, which is about Livia, who is married to Augustus and who is Octavian. And so these are some of the characters who are on the show I just finished, which was Rome on HBO. I still want Roman content. I'm going to start this show. Chapter 59. Oh my, I pressed play before I pressed pause on the audiobook. I've listened to 19 hours and 53 minutes. I need to put that in Storygraph. I usually wouldn't do all this on the vlog. If you're new here, it has a mind of its own, What was it, 1953? Yeah, 1953 to put on Storygraph. I got to 64%, but on another, I think Fable said 65%. All these apps tell you different things. I don't know how or why, because a book has a set number of pages, an audiobook has a set number of minutes. Who knows how all that works? But I do want to go into my thoughts on the Covenant of Water, which is the cover is back there. I need to remember to do that now, to put the cover of the book so y'all can see what book I'm talking about. Would it be better if it was, see, I was trying to be sneaky and cover up my drink. I really need that tea today. Will this stand right there, and will you be able to see that? No, this is the bookshelf that y'all see. Ooh, can I do it like up there? Okay, I know that's not perfect, but for the sake of, I want there to be something physical on the screen so people can see what I'm talking about, even though it's like in the title or in the thumbnail of the video. But I know some people like myself are visual people and need to see it. But I read 80 pages in here. I think this was probably my biggest reading day yet for the book. Just some longer chapters, but nothing, since I'm doing the audiobook, it's nothing too much, because sometimes you read a chapter that's 30 pages, and none of the chapters in here have been 30 pages, but sometimes you'll read like 30 pages and physically, and your eyes are just having to stare at something that long. But with an audiobook, obviously you can have it. I have it at 2.5 speed, and I feel like it's not fast enough, but I'm not gonna, because when the writer, I don't know where he lives now, but I don't know his accent. I can't place it because I've told you they're Scottish characters, and I'm pretty sure he's in some, I don't want like Indian, but I don't know if he was born in America or something, is what I'm saying. But when it's with certain characters, when he's doing the Indian accent, that can be really fast. But since I am doing it in tandem, I don't have too hard of a time understanding, since I am seeing the words on the page. But I did the audiobook one because this is over 700 pages, and I didn't start with the audiobook actually. I think the first 10% I read physically, but there were a lot of words that I wasn't familiar with because they are not Indian, I don't know. They're words that we don't have in our culture, and I was like, oh, these words are like 10 letters long. I don't know how to say that. And with character names, I wanted to make sure that I was pronouncing them correctly in the vlog, and that's why I felt the need to switch to the audiobook. But let me go back to my notes here for day 7. I don't have a whole ton of notes. Yeah, we did have a character death and my jaw dropped because it was brutal and totally not what I was expecting to read here. And then we have somebody showing up at Digby's place, and I questioned who it might be, but I was wrong. So I'm not gonna tell you who it was because, you know, spoilers. And then we have an instance where it's like, but desire has its own vocabulary is the quote. And that made me think, how does desire work? Speaking on like a psychological level, how does it, because you can't really control it, and you can't control who you're attracted to. Sometimes you'll be attracted to somebody and not even know why, or you won't know why for a while, and you fall out of attraction with people. How does all that work? The laws of attraction, is that a book, or just, you know, something that people say? If y'all know any books about desire and how it works, of the mentally stuff, the stuff in the mind, let me know, because that's really intriguing. I never really thought about it till I read that, because I'm like, why are we attracted to who we're attracted to? How does all of that work? How does desire, attraction, and that kind of thing, what causes it? And it's different for everybody, obviously. Everybody has their own taste. So you can even look at it in not a romantically or lustful way. Why do we like the things that we like? How does that work? Really interesting. And 450 pages in, obviously this character hasn't been around forever throughout the whole book, but Philippos, he is annoying me. And that's something with these characters, I don't feel a strong connection to them. I don't hate these characters, but I don't love them either. And they obviously do have their flaws and everything, but Philippos at this point was bothering me so much. And I think he's supposed to be unlikable, but it just wasn't written well enough for me. And we have 2 more tabs here. They're plot tabs. Oh, it won't let me turn. And how we talked about yesterday, how we are all humans, but humans are always going to have like a rank system, a pyramid system of who's on top and who's not. And this is talking about Christians. This character, he's like, those people were Christians, and he's a Christian as well. And he's hungry, but they turn him away. They send their dogs on him. He's like, I don't understand it. They're Christians. Why are they like that? And this is a child or young teen. I'm not exactly sure how old he is. This was his first or second POV chapter. And her response, her laughter has an unpleasant edge to it. Christians, is it? My grandfather became a Christian, so we are too. My grandfather thought surely now his landowner will invite him inside the house to eat with him. No one told him that I'm going to spell it. I don't know how to say it. Pulayar. That means the people who like work the land. They're not technically slaves because they are being paid, but they are doing like labor on for people who are bougier than them, I guess. But okay, so no one told him that Jesus died on a different cross. It was the short, dark cross behind the kitchen. She laughs again. And I definitely do think that's true, that Christians, and I mean anybody, can be judgmental to people who are like them, but they will still look down upon others. And was that the last one, or did I skip a yellow tab? What was this yellow tab? Oh yeah, we got some stuff with the curse that made me realize some things with it, but I'm not going to tell y'all just of who the curse can impact and all of that. Again, spoilers, because I am at 65% of the way of the book. There is like maybe a little over 4 hours left of the audiobook. But that is all for the Covenant of Water for the day. I'm going to have dinner. I'm going to have leftovers of where I went for like lunch. Not somewhere I would typically go on a Tuesday, just a local Greek place. And I got some shrimp, and because I was really wanting shrimp, but I really wanted the sweet tea. I usually wouldn't get one this big, but I was just really like craving it today, and I was like, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna get a sweet tea. And also I'm really liking shrimp at the moment. Now I got fried shrimp when it's really like shrimp cocktail that I'm wanting. I'm definitely gonna have to pick some up when I go to the grocery store again, which I don't know when that will be, because we are gonna get, right now it seems like a few flurries of snow, but mainly sleet and ice, and we don't like to go out in that. I am not built for that. Yeah, once Christmas passes, I'm like, no, I don't want cold weather. I don't want anything. Give me spring. Guys, happy Wednesday. Yes, I'm still on the same clothes as yesterday. I don't go to Target until later, so I haven't got out of my PJs, but honestly I'm like, I don't even want to because it is so cold. I think the high today is like 44 or something. Like, no, we don't mess with that. But I got my book of the month package and I'm going to open it here with you guys. So far today I cleaned out my fridge. That's always nice to do after the holidays. I mean, I try to do it once a week anyway, but after the holidays, you know. I have lifted weights and did my squats and everything, but I haven't gone on the bike. I did walk as well. I haven't done the bicycle yet. I am gonna do that after I film this because I don't want to be so out of breath when recording, because I do that sometimes. I'll record right after I exercise and I'm out of breath, and you know, that's not fun. Okay, we got this open. Oh, what is this? Fiction forward, new since 1926. The best new fiction. Did they do this at like the start of every year? Oh, there's the editorial director, Brianna. Yeah, Brianna was such a her name, I hope. Oh my, so these are a century of the best new fiction. Back in 1926, they were doing Ernest Hemingway books at Book of the Month, and now they're doing like Wellness by Nathan Hill, which is right back there. And here are the Book of the Year winners from the past. I've read 1, 2, 3, 4 of them so far. I own some of the others. I know we can vote for the Book of the Year currently, but I haven't read any of them, so I feel like I shouldn't vote, but I might just vote for an author that I like or something. No, I only thought I was going to get 2 books from Book of the Month this month, my pick and my add-on, because there was an add-on that I wanted, which I'll show y'all, and then there were so many good options that I just had to keep adding. But I'm not sponsored, I should say, but my link is always down in the description, because if you sign up with that link you get a free book and I get a free book. You know, that's awesome. But these hardbacks, new hardbacks, are only $10.99. I know they have gone up $1 with inflation, but $10.99 for a hardback, you cannot beat that. The only places you can beat that are Goodwill or a little free library. So it is honestly amazing. I'm sorry about the dog barking. What is she barking at? Because there's been a stray dog around that I'm trying to, you know, rescue. Even though my family might not want me doing that. I don't see what she's barking at. It must be squirrels. But I left out a Kong toy for her and she took it and I don't know where it went. So if it's in somebody's yard, like, can you throw it back into mine, or, you know, just be on the lookout, everybody. So y'all know I work with like I try to promote animal rescue and everything, so I and me and some other people in the neighborhood are hoping that somebody will take her. But my books, this one is Isaac's Song by Daniel Black. I read Don't Cry for Me, or Don't Cry by Daniel Black, and such a moving read that is told in a letter format, and this one I think was told in an interesting format as well. I'm not seeing, but yeah, Don't Cry for Me was the name of the book I've read by this author, and I liked it. and I wanted to pick up another book by him. And then this one I've been seeing everywhere, and that is The 3 Lives of Kate K by Kate Fagan. And this has been compared to Evelyn Hugo. In this propulsive and keenly observant novel, an anonymous best-selling author reveals the secrets from her past and why she's been on the run. Now, I already own a book by this next author and haven't read it. Again, it's back there, but you'll know I'm on an ancient world kick, so I had to get it. And that's Babylonia, King's Fall, Queen's Rise by Kosanta Kazadi. A common woman, the governor, she married the king who loved them both. Welcome to the empire of gods and men, the one queen destined to rule them all. Yeah, I had to pick that up. And then this one sounded so intriguing as well. Playworld by Adam Ross. It's the fall of 1980. When I was 14, a friend of my parents named Naomi Shaw fell in love with me. She was 36, a mother of 2, and married to a wealthy man. Like, so many things that happened to me that year, it didn't seem strange at the time. I did not expect that to be that big. Now, here's someone that I knew before I even placed my order was one I wanted, and this is The Other Valley by Scott Alexander Howard. This was on a lot of people's best books of the year. So you have this one town, and if you go like 10 miles, you go this way out of the town, you go 10 years into the future. I don't know if it's 10 years, but you go into the future, and if you go west, you know, it could be west or east, I don't know, but you go the other way, you end up in the past. And I thought that was really intriguing. Speculative fiction. So the east is the future, the west is the past. And then we have our bookmark that says Book of the Month and Pause for the Dramatic Effect by Jenna L. Brooktondale, or Jenna L. from Brooktondale, New York. I'm a member since 2020, so that's what I got from Book of the Month. I told y'all yesterday that I started the show Domina on Amazon Prime. It's with MGM Plus, and it's bad. When this show was first announced and I saw the trailer, I was really excited for it, but I never got around to watching it until now. But I've heard once you get to the time skip and they switch actors and everything, it's a lot better. But I do want to tell y'all my problems. I don't necessarily think it's the actors, because I have seen a lot of these people on other things, like Tom Glencarney. He's the best here, and I mean, on House of the Dragon, he's obviously one of the most intriguing characters, and I've seen him in a few other things. And then Nadia Parks, I saw her on The Spanish Princess, and she was my favorite character on that show, but here, I hate her. I hate Livia. Oh my effing gosh, I wish I could swear, but I don't swear in my videos. That's another thing with this show. I don't care if shows cuss and all that. Personally, I don't care about cussing, but I know people who watch my videos who don't like cussing, so that's personally why I don't cuss in my videos. But the way the characters talk feels so forced, like the use of the F word, like the women saying the F word, it just feels so, it's like a jump, like it doesn't feel like it's supposed to be there. And I've talked about before with like Pat Barker or Pat Baker, The Silence of the Girls, that book, the dialogue was so bad. That's a book about the Trojan War, and it's just like modern words, and that's with this, with only the character Olivia is the only one that has used like modern words, like saying hey and all that. I'm like, no, say hello. And but with Scribonia, she's another one where when she cusses, it just sounds so, and like it says vulgar things, it just does not sound right. And again, like Rome on HBO, like Adia, she cusses, everybody cusses on there, but it doesn't feel forced, it doesn't feel out of place. I guess it's just the writing is really bad on this show, and I'm shocked this show's for adults. It's obviously for adults because there's a lot of sex and that kind of thing, violence. But it feels like a young adult fantasy novel, especially the characters. With Olivia, it's like, I'm a bad bee, I can do anything, which is great. And women can do anything, but you know, just when there's no flaws, Mary Sue is what I'm thinking of. And I just drive me crazy. And then her friend Antigone, don't like her either. And I can acknowledge they've both been through these horrible situations, but it does not, their character work is awful. And you can make unlikable, you can make characters that are terrible people, like I was seeing with Adia on Rome on HBO. She's not a good person, but she's the baddest bee in Rome. Like, she was my favorite character. Mark Antony, not a good person, but that character work on that show, oh my gosh, incredible. like the characters can be bad people, but you're intrigued by their stories. And this is just not the case. But again, I'm sticking around to when we do the time jump, and I'll see on the time jump if I end up liking that. I've heard the first 3 episodes is with these younger actors is a bit rough, and I feel like there's more that I have to say about it, but right now that's all I can think of. It's not good. It's not good. Oh, I remember. This is kind of gross, but I think the director didn't have a Wikipedia page, so I can't do any research, an easy research. I have to Google more. But there are so many bathroom scenes, like it was showing the pee coming out of her. Like the first episode had 3. I know my dad's like, that's not 3, but I can't, this does not feel right when I lift this finger up, but 3 bathroom scenes. And then this scene, in this episode, we had scenes giving birth, which, you know, that's fine. And vomiting scenes, which again, like, yeah, all these things are natural, but do I really need to see it on screen? Again, the giving birth doesn't bother me, but I feel like this director has a fetish for this, like, bathroom stuff. Gross. Time to do my reading update. I got to 70. I didn't put it in Storygraph again. I'm sorry. I am a rookie at vlogging because I didn't vlog over Christmas break. So 23:35 is the listening time I got to. Let's see. I put it in my other apps because Sarah just have to do the page number. But okay, 23:35. 75%, that's the lowest out of all of them, but let me take the headphones off. Okay, I read 82 pages, so yesterday I thought that was the most I'd read, but no, today came and saw and conquered. Let's talk about what I read. Today was my day 8 of reading through this book, and we have Mariama and Lennon, and I'm like, they're gonna get married. I have no idea if that happens to like, oh no. I have no idea, but theory. And let's see, we have an orange tab. How we have been talking about with this book, I think one of the themes is that humans are humans at our core. And this little section I'm going to read you really emphasizes that on, I was telling you about that word that started with the P. I am blanking on what it was, but I didn't know how to pronounce, but now I do because I said it in the audiobook, but I am blanking again on what it was. But you know, the people who work the land and all of that but are not technically slaves by the Indian government. This is what this discussion's about. Because you loved my father, this is harder for you to grasp, Jopin says. You see yourselves as being kind and generous to him. The kind slave owners in India or anywhere were always the ones who had the greatest difficulty seeing the injustice of slavery. And that is so true. I know people who, obviously I don't know anybody who's alive when slavery was around, but maybe had like black people working in the houses and all of that, like being a maid or something. And they were like, we treated them nicely and all of that, but still, did they view it the same way? Outlander, I know Outlander has a lot of like white savior moments, but there was a discussion with the character Jocasta, who owns a plantation actually in my local area, but who owns a plantation, and she would be what they're talking about here, a kind slave owner. And somebody, I don't know if it was Claire, somebody kind of like called her out being like, do they feel the same way? And yeah, but let's get back to what I'm reading here. Their kindness, their generosity compared to cruel slave owners made them blind to the unfairness of a system of slavery that they created, they maintained, and that favored them. It's like the British bragging about the railways, the colleges, the hospitals they left us, their kindness, as though that justified robbing us of the right to self-rule for 2 centuries, as though we should thank them for what they stole. Would Britain or Holland or Spain or Portugal or France be what they are now without what they earned by enslaving others? During the war, the British loved telling us how well they treated us compared to how the Japanese would treat us. But if they invaded, and this is the sentence right here that I underlined, but should any nation rule over another nation, and obviously we're talking about That's with colonialism. But then with people, should any other human be ranked higher than another human? No, it's not right. Just like another nation shouldn't have control of another. And let's finish these 2 paragraphs here. Such things only happen when one group thinks the other is inferior by birth, by skin color, by history, inferior and therefore deserving less. My father was no slave. He was beloved here, but he was never your equal, so he wasn't rewarded as one. Joplin shook his head. Some of your relatives here, in fact, many of them, were given generous plots of 2 or 3 acres, more than, Pulayan? Was that how you say it? That's the P word I was talking about. Gets for a hut. It was enough land to do well. But honestly, other than Uplift Master, that's a guy in the book, and a few others, who has really made a success of it? Imagine if my father had been given 1 acre of his own to farm. Just think how well he'd have done. The sophistication in Joplin's argument surprised Philippos, but even to think of Joplin's argument as sophisticated was exactly the kind of blindness Joplin was talking about. Sophisticated implied that people like Joplin or Samuel, it has an H in it, were not entitled to use history and reason and their intellect. And oh my gosh, that's just so mind-boggling, eye-opening, and a great way to discuss with somebody who maybe thinks of other people as less than them. And again, I think that is like the biggest theme here. Okay, then a funny one, one from serious to funny. What did I think was funny? Okay, yeah, so they were going to have Billy Graham come to their town to, you know, preach and do whatever. I don't know what these pastors do when they go to places, but I know Billy Graham was like a good guy, whatever. But he couldn't make it, so some other guy had to come. I don't know if he's a real person or not. McGillicuddy? I don't know if that's pronounced right. He came, and the translator who is one of our Uplift Master, who I mentioned earlier, he just starts saying a bunch about their stuff. And he's like, okay, this guy's joke isn't funny. This joke isn't as funny as the Reverend thinks. Besides, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, so on the count of 3, let's all laugh. So he blesses us, basically. So they all laugh. And this guy's never had so many people laugh at his joke before and all. And I thought that was just super funny. And then this one, we have, so after they leave the service, we have the family discussing it, and we have Mariama, who's like, before the beggars were just there, an unpleasant sight, a bit scary, but no more than other unpleasant things you must see. So her grandma's like, those are people, Mariama, not things. And she's like, that is my point. I'm just realizing that they are people, that they weren't always, blind or lame, that could happen to anybody. And that is so true. Again, we are looking at people as people, not just ideas and stuff, you know. And it says, it takes a special person to see those poor beggars as human beings. Many people never notice, as though they are invisible. It speaks well of your maturity. We should be scared and never take our health for granted. We must pray and give thanks each day for good health. Yes, that's something that I personally do when I have my good health days, is I only just thank God. I'm like, thank you, because like I wouldn't be here without that, you know? And then this one, chapter 62, guys. Chapter 62 had me emotional. I didn't cry, but it was so beautifully written, especially the end, and just so emotional. And that was when I was like, maybe this really is a 4-star book. And then I just liked this. This was on page 547, a quote that says, this water connects the living and the dead. And yeah, it does. If you think about the ocean water, it's always there, you know. I know there's like a thing where it goes up and that becomes the rain, and the rain goes into the streams and all of that, but water is always there. It is a consistent thing. I mean, I know it's not always there because sometimes it dries up, but like, where does that go when it dries up? Into the earth, and then does it come out again into the ocean? I don't know. That's interesting to think about. But I did do something bad. I bought a book that I had never heard of, but then I found out Emily Rath is the one who wrote the hockey book that was like a polyamory hockey book. And look at this pretty edition. So beautiful. In pages. And then you know, the physical book itself, and then it has a reversible cover, and it's about Finnish folklore. So I'm wondering if she is, yeah, is Finnish American, because I know in the hockey book there was like literally like dirty words and how to say it in Finnish, and then this book is about Finnish folklore. So in the depths of the Finnish wilderness, more than wolves roam the dark woods. When a death goddess attacks the villages, best friends Siri and Aina prove helpless to stop her from dragging Anna into Tuonla, the mythical underworld. In this sweeping fantasy adventure, perfect for fans of, you know, whoever, hope and love must conquer even death itself. And it is super pretty, and I am out of storage in my card. I was like really right, but it is Thursday, so it's the last day of the vlog. And if you're new here, the vlogs are published at midnight East Coast time, American East Coast time, on Saturday. But I got to over 25% in memory wall now, and I do want to give you all an update. This is probably my least favorite thing I've read from Anthony Doerr. I've read Cloud Cuckoo Land, and then I read one of his short stories that was about like this woman who was kind of a magician kind of thing in somewhere cold. I don't remember if it was like Montana, somewhere up there, which I really liked that. And Cloud Cuckoo Land was one of my favorite books that I've ever read. And this one is going 3 stars, so it's still good, but it's not great. And I'm only still in the first short story, so obviously with the rest of these short stories, it could change. But like this is a short story, 87 pages. No, I think that's more of a novella. And I don't know if all these are going to be interconnected or not. Yeah, so the one I'm reading right now, a young boy in South Africa comes to possess an old woman's secret, a piece of the past with the power to redeem a life. And my issue is I'm having trouble distinguishing the characters. I know Alma, who is the woman, then Pheko, I guess, Pheko, he is like her caretaker, I guess. And those are the two that I know for a fact who they are. And then we had the 2 guys, the young boy. I wasn't picturing him being young. I was picturing like 30s, but okay, see. And that is like Luvo, and then it's the guy he's with, like Richard or something, Roger. So Roger and Luvo, I cannot really tell apart. They are not that developed, and that is my issue. I'm getting them confused, and that is always a struggle for me since I'm such a character-driven person. But the theme is fantastic. One of memory, and with Alma's sections, now it's mainly Luvo, and that's Luvo. But with Alma, is seeing somebody who is old. She's gone through the traumatic or tragic event of losing her husband, and now she is dealing with like dementia or something. And it's really interesting to see that point of view, to see what it is like to be in the head of somebody who is losing their memories, and how important memories are, and how memories can change. And there was a lot of instances of talking about that today that I thought were really good, about what memories are and how like important they are and everything I just said. So remember a memory often enough, Luvo thinks. Maybe it takes over, maybe the memory becomes new again. And just, yeah, page 70 and 71 were really good for talking about memories. But the other theme that is you see throughout Anthony Doerr's work is the world is huge, or not really the world, the universe is huge, and we are so minuscule, but at the same time the world is so small. But the world is so big, history is so big, everything is connected, and that's something that I think about all the time. And it's personally why I love history so much, because it is a mind F, and it is crazy and mind-boggling to think how every single thing on this planet, every single thing that has ever existed is all connected. And I even think this cover, how it's like a circle and a spiral, really connects that. And it's just so fascinating. And I would love to have a sit down with him. I don't know, maybe he's done a podcast or something that talks about it, because I would love to just hear his thoughts on history and humanity and the world. Time. It's really fascinating. So I read that, I worked out. Today was just a declutter day, so I decluttered my kitchen table because it's for the holidays. It got kind of hectic, and then, you know, I scrubbed it down and cleaned it, that kind of thing. And I don't know if I said I worked out. I went to walk today. I forgot the mail isn't coming today because of Jimmy Carter's funeral. Rest in peace, Jimmy Carter, a true like Southern man. Love that. But he So the mail's not running. I went to the mailbox at 32-degree weather. It was so cold, and then I walked like 3 laps. But yeah, it was really cold. And taking out some recyclables. Oh, it's cold. We're supposed to get snow tomorrow. There's a 75% chance, and we're supposed to get 2 inches. Which in the South, 1 inch is a lot. Like, we shut things down when it's just a dusting. So 2 inches, I don't know how this is going to play out. But if you want to know, I will probably be posting on like TikTok or somewhere. But yeah, that will come out on TikTok. So, you know, follow me on there if you like. I think it's linked down below somewhere. I don't know, but just type in Izzy Rain and I'm sure you'll find me. Hey guys, it is time to update y'all on the Covenant of Water. I got to, I think it was like 88%. Sorry, I'm like way close to the camera because I've been kind of using my bed or my mattress or whatever, you know, as a table, I guess. I don't know, but where did I start reading today? Day 9 of reading. I should finish the book tomorrow. I have about an hour and a half left on the audiobook. And oh, this fell out. This is part of my Christmas wreath and it fell off, and I just have thrown it in here to preserve it, and it hasn't been going well. It's been falling out all over the place, so maybe don't do that in a book you're currently reading. But my first highlight of the day came on the first page I started reading. I read 79 pages, by the way. That's 79 pages right there. And since I'm sitting the book right there, I can hold this. But again, talking about people being suppressed, oppressed, whatever. And it said, so Lenin said, this is not Lenin from Russia, but okay, Lenin said he had questioned what an armed struggle could accomplish unless all the oppressed villagers in India rose en masse. I think that's something a lot of people forget, is when like companies go on strike, like a few people at a company like Amazon, I think like 10,000 people went on strike or something. But if you look at the grand total of workers, it's like, yeah, that's not going to do anything. And in this case, in India, if all these oppressed villagers don't go on strike, it's not going to do anything. You're going to need everybody to do something. And that really makes you think. I thought a lot about this back, you know, in 2020 when everything was happening. It was actually after 2020. I don't remember what it was about, but I'm like, all this stuff on the internet and all that, is it really going to accomplish anything? And I know that's such a negative mindset to have, that you're doing all this for nothing. But yeah, in the early 2020s, I really would get in my head about that. I'm like, what if I'm wrong and all of that? But now I do think I'm more, understand myself more. But let's see, what other tabs do I have here? None on those pages. Oh, right here, right here. I know when I run out of tabs, I dog ear on the bottom. That's something I just started doing. But yeah, this is one I liked. So, but even so, has time sped up at Paramble since she's been gone? So since Mariama went to college and then she comes back and it's like her dad is suddenly an old man and everything just seems so different. And that's definitely, I definitely believe that when you are this age, coming of age, and you leave home for the first time, even if you maybe have lost contact with somebody, and then when you see their life, you're like, whoa, they're doing all this stuff. And that's crazy because in your mind, it just kind of pauses at when you were last a part of that situation, a part of that friendship, relationship, whatever. And it's just crazy how that works. It might sound kind of self-centered, thinking everybody's life's just stop. But no, I don't really think it's self-centered. It's just natural. And yeah, if you are squeamish, don't read this book. I am a hypochondriac, and a lot of this has been kind of scary for me to read, like the medical scenes and all, because I did not realize in this that there was going to be such an emphasis on medicine and surgery, which is something that I don't really like to read about. It freaks me out. So I do find myself just tuning out some of these surgery scenes because I am doing the audiobook. The author narrates the audiobook, by the way. I don't know if I ever said that, but and then there'll just be talk, especially now with like at college, at university, learning to be a doctor, be in the medical field. There's a lot of like, you know, academic, scientific stuff that goes right over my head, and I just, again, tune it out because I'm not understanding it. And a lot of that stuff freaks me out. That reminds me, what two books would I compare this to? One is a series, but Outlander, because of the medical stuff and the history, and I mean, this is an epic. It's over 700 pages. I would also compare it to my favorite book, which is Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois, which the author blurbed this one saying from the very first page, I was overtaken with joy. I don't know if joy would necessarily be my emotion for this, but I can definitely see, especially with Mariama, compared to, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the character in Love Songs? Ailey Pearl. They, with their research and their time at university, there's some similarities there. I don't want to get too much into it because they're both at the end of the book. And we have leprosy brought up, and I'm like, here we go, we're going to connect some storylines again, and it didn't happen for like another 60 pages, but it does happen. And then, is this certain a character alive? And if she is alive, I think she's worse than the other character. And then there's a scene where this character was questioning if he was hallucinating, and I was thinking the same thing before he even started questioning that. I was like, is this real life? Is this actually happening? And then here's a quote that, again, I think is perfect for the theme. Love the sick, each and every one, as if they were your own. Love everybody, your neighbor, love thy neighbor, you know? Like, treat everybody how you want to be treated, and that will make the world a better place. I tell y'all all the time that the world lacks empathy, it lacks compassion, and yeah, people are messed up. Okay, we have another one. Yeah, there's a lot of science, which I wasn't expecting in the plot. I don't want to say in what way because I think it might be a little spoiler, but this, on page 605, our story has come full circle, and it makes me smile when she said joy up here. Yes, and to tell y'all, my favorite character has been Big Amanchi and Baby Mole. I really liked them, and yeah, they're my favorite characters. I'm not going to go into a little bit more because I almost spoiled things for you. And then just some of my questions about the, curse in this story, but I'm not going to put them because, again, I think it would be kind of spoilery. But I got to page 638. I should finish this book tomorrow or on Saturday. I'm not sure, but be sure to follow my Goodreads and my blog because I'll be posting my review on both of those, and Fable and Storygraph. I post my review everywhere, so stay tuned for that. And then in next week's vlog, hold on, I need to drink. At the end of this video, I'll talk about the book that is the focus of next week's vlog because, we do have, I'm not going to show y'all up close, but we do have themed vlogs here on Saturday and on Saturdays because the theme in this vlog was reading a 5-star prediction. But I'm going to end this clip now and go eat my Tex-Mex pasta for dinner. I showed y'all that yesterday, just having some leftovers, and so I'm going to have some bread with that because why not? And I'm gonna switch my sweet tea for some water. Let's get to wrapping up the vlog. I read 18 pages in here today, but not, enough to give y'all an update. So I had a bit of a panic. Y'all know I told you about the dog that's been in my neighborhood. Somebody put on the next door app being like, who do I call? And a lady in the comments was like, the police, which like, no, I don't think you call the police for that. Or animal control. And I know in a lot of places animal control is probably fine, but in my county, if a dog is not like picked up by somebody or adopted in a certain amount of time, this is the county, not the city, that they will euthanize it. And I do not want that to happen. So I commented saying, hey, call a local dog rescue. I said the name obviously, or the city shelter, because we don't want dogs being killed, murdered. It's awful. Another shelter, Lancaster, Lancashire, but they called out the county shelter for killing literally like puppies and all of this stuff. Like, shout out to Lancaster. Yeah, it's really bad, and fingers crossed it doesn't happen. Okay, the camera's dying, so I'm gonna switch to the iPhone. Can't switch to the iPhone because I'm about to tell y'all next week's vlog will be my book club vlog, and it will be about Leviathan Wakes, and I'm I'm in a panic trying to get it up. Hold on. This is what Leviathan Wakes is about. So it is a captivating sci-fi series. We're reading book 1 about a captain, his crew, and a detective solving a solar system-wide conspiracy that starts with a missing girl. Join them on a thrilling interplanetary adventure in this Hugo Award-winning masterpiece. And the show The Expanse is based on this book series. So with my books, we got to 45% in What We Kept to Ourselves, 89% in The Covenant of Water, and Memory Wall, is that what it's called, 28%, and in Outlander I got to 87%. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way through, leave a snow emoji in the comments below, and as always, comment, rate, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!